Greetings, everyone. This is Josh Gillespie, Senior Product Specialist with PandaDoc. I am based here in our San Francisco headquarters, and today we're going to demonstrate system functionality in PandaDoc and provide a brief demo, as well as how to get started with our application, really depending on your need. So, getting started, this is the first thing you see when you go to the PandaDoc homepage. The easiest way to log into our application is simply to select Login. We're an all-in-one software that really allows you to design, send, approve, track, and have e-signatures executed on the client side as quickly as possible from within our application or from within a CRM that we might integrate with. And we do have over 8,000 customers currently. And last year closed over $16 billion in transactions. So really excited to show you PandaDoc today and how we can add value to your current document processes, whatever they may be. So let's start with the tour. This is the first thing you see when you log into PandaDoc. This is the dashboard. I'm a system admin. So if you do have multiple users in the account, you can separate users into different roles. So as an admin, I can see the entire team activity on this dashboard going back a year. I could also drill down into specific individuals as an admin. Now, a lesser role might be a team member role, in which case those individuals can only see their own documents and not others in the system. So for each person you add into PandaDoc, you can determine who is an admin and who is a normal user. Real quick, I'm just going to go through these different stages. So everything that you send from PandaDoc is being tracked, so we know exactly what's happening from an engagement standpoint with these documents. So anything that's in the sent column has been sent from our system, but it has yet to be viewed by your intended recipients. As soon as those documents are opened and viewed, we will send you an email notification so you know that they've been viewed. Or if you have our iPhone or Android application on your phone, you can get a push notification also letting you know that these documents have been viewed. And then from there, we're going to track the engagement. So when you send a PandaDoc document, it's going to generate an email to your recipients with a link to open the document. And you can brand those emails, of course, so they have your logo, not the PandaDoc logo. They can have a photo of the sender and a custom email message. And when they click that document, we're then tracking the engagement. So I can see immediately on this document in the Analytics tab on the right that this has 4 recipients, 2 of which have viewed, 2 of whom have not. And if I want to see the engagement of a given recipient, I can click on them and I can immediately see that they viewed once for a total of 5 minutes. The last time was 5 hours ago. We'll tell you if they download this document offline to a PDF, at which point, of course, we're no longer tracking that version. But for the online version, we'll also show you how long they spent looking at each page. So I can tell my colleague Kelly here, open this document, and really just viewed the cover page for a few minutes. She was probably looking to check into the analytics as well for the recipient side. We will also track, if you enabled it, that this document was forwarded on to another party. So you could also choose to disable this and add a passcode if you want to prevent documents from being forwarded. But certainly, if you enable it, we'll track that. We'll add those new recipients to the tracking analytics as well. So the tracking analytics is a really cool feature, obviously. Any kind of sales or marketing collateral that you're curious about, how its efficacy, or if you're sending contracts and agreements and you need to make sure you're responsive on those as you go through your negotiations, obviously tracking analytics will help. And you're getting a little bit more information there than you would if you're just seeing that they open an email or something to that effect. Now, for every document that is signed, we do have an e-signature that is available. It is legally binding in 42 countries, so hopefully PandaDoc can also save you from having to subscribe to a separate third-party e-signature application. And similar to other e-signature apps, we are giving you a signature certificate, and that certificate will be appended as the last page to every completed PDF in PandaDoc. And it's just capturing information about each signatory, including their e-signature, the date stamp, their verified email, and the IP address from where they signed. So that's the dashboard. Again, I'm going to breeze through some of the main features here just to give a good overview of the system. But certainly, whether you're an admin or whether a user, if you log into PandaDoc Direct, it's going to help you keep all your ducks or docs here in a row. So you'll notice you have a sidebar here with some options. In a second here, I'm going to show you the various ways in which you can get started and send a document out from PandaDoc and actually use the system. As a first step, though, I highly recommend you go to the far bottom left here and just go through the different settings, whether it's uploading your profile pic, adding an e-signature for yourself if you intend to sign documents. I added my real signature here through our iPhone application using my finger. Adjusting your email notifications. So, I choose to be notified, for example, every single time a recipient opens any one of my document links. If you want to receive less notifications, you can disable those, based on your preferences. If you're a system admin and you intend to have multiple users in the system, you might consider our enterprise plan, which offers workspaces, so you can segment different users and the content that they access into different workspaces in PandaDoc. So you might have a workspace for sales team or workspace for HR, and it just means that those users don't brush up against each other, can't see each other's content, when really they shouldn't have anything to do with one another. And again, myself as one user license, I can have access to as many workspaces as needed, and I could also have unique permission levels in each. So I might be an admin in one workspace and a team member role in another workspace. Team is where we would go if we want to add those additional users to an existing workspace. And when you invite new team members, it will ask you first, of course, what role they should have in the system. Our enterprise plan does allow you to create custom roles and permissions too, based on your own granular preferences. But go ahead and test the system as much as you want during that 2-week trial. Real quick, I'm going to breeze through the rest of the settings here. If you have preferences for the types of e-signatures you wish to collect, you can go through the settings here and you can disable any of these default options. So by default, we do allow them to draw, type, or upload an image of their actual signature. And then you have a few other settings in here that you can adjust. Expiration settings if you want the documents to expire, like at a default 60 days or 30 days or something to that effect. And if you want auto reminders set up as default or default currency, you can kind of come in and do all of that. Recipient view language, English, and so forth. That's pretty much that. Let's go to branding. This is also definitely important. Definitely go here and upload your logo. This is the logo that will appear in your outgoing emails. And if you do not update this logo, your emails will still have the PandaDoc logo. So I recommend you doing that. You could also add a custom email footer here, something to the effect of, my company X is now using PandaDoc to send and execute documents electronically. Lastly, saved messages. This is where you would add your email templates. So you can go in here and create new email templates to help people save time when they're sending their documents out, so they don't have to type in a new email every single time they send a document. So that's that. Settings, highly important. This is the dashboard. I think we get how that works. Now, let's talk about how we actually do the job of sending documents from PandaDoc. Today I'm going to cover quickly 3 ways in which we can do that. So the first and easiest way, which is also the most limited, is to simply go to create a new document, at which point this screen will pop up. And if you have some templates that are already set up in advance, and don't worry, we're going to talk about that in a second, they will show here. However, if you just have an existing PDF that maybe, it was already created in Microsoft Word, and it's really just a document I want to upload into PandaDoc, send it to track it, and maybe have it signed online, the simplest workflow is to go to Upload after you click New Document, and simply choose a local file. So let's just go ahead and upload that, at which point it will ask you to add recipients. And from there, we can also potentially add fields on top if we want this document to get signed. So the first thing is to add recipients. So I'll go ahead and I'll add myself as a recipient. I'll go ahead and add my colleague Bethany as a recipient, and so forth. You can have as many recipients as you want. Each of them will receive a link to the document. Each of them will also see each other as listed as a CC recipient on this document. And here I can also choose if I want to enable or disable the document and signature forwarding. So if you know exactly who you want to send this document to, and if you know exactly that that is the legal signatory of your document, then you should go ahead and turn these off. However, if there's any question about whether your initial recipient is indeed the legal signatory, I might go ahead and enable this just to help facilitate a faster sign-off. So now this is my document PDF. It was uploaded. So you'll notice any document that's uploaded directly into PandaDoc like this, it's no longer editable. right? So I can't really do anything with this document at this point except add fields. So if you look at the right sidebar, I can go over here and I could potentially add fields to this document. So let's assume maybe this wasn't a previously signed document. I could go ahead and add a new signature block here. You can resize these fields once they're added on top of your document. And then of course, I already added recipients, so now I can assign this field to either myself or Bethany. Let's go ahead and add it to Bethany. And you guys get the idea. You have all of these fields that you can make use of, whether it's an e-signature, a text field, right? If I wanted them to type in their name, and I could even give them some instructions. So add name here. And I could also assign that to a given recipient. And you can also determine if those fields are required or optional. If they're optional, they can skip over that field and still execute the document in full. If it's required, they have to put something in that field, of course. Initials fields, a date field, checkbox, drop downs if you want to give them a list of options to select from, masked fields, which would be for proprietary data that should be hidden from the user. Anything that's entered into a masked field would only be visible by a system admin. An upload field would be if you want to have your recipient attach a file back to this document. So if you're asking them to give you a purchase order, or maybe it's an HR document and they need to attach a driver's license or something to that effect, you can do that. You can also give them some help text. Similarly, asking them what to do there, and they will be prompted to upload that file. And then lastly, a text field. This is for, if you need them to submit paragraphs of content to you or something to that effect. Just gives them a little bit more space. So that's that. Those are all the fields that we have here. And the same thing applies. You just drag and drop them where you need to go, resize them, mark them as required or not, and then go ahead and send this document out for execution. So again, this document, I've added recipients, I've added some fields. That's really about it at this point. If you go to the More tab, I could attach files to this document. Again, I could adjust the settings if I want it to expire maybe in 7 days instead of 60. I could add auto reminders. I could change the recipient, language to another country if I'm sending this, globally, or to another language rather, and so forth. And again, the best way to send a document at this point is just with the send button, because then we're tracking the document when it's opened online. However, just so you're aware, we do have an option to download a PDF on your site as well. So if you want to present this document in person or still go through, maybe a little bit of an older fashioned process of, sending a PDF or something via email, you still have that option. But let's go ahead and do the best case scenario, which is to send this document through PandaDoc, at which point it's going to ask us for a new document name. I'll give it the name test. The email message pops up, so I can type a custom message here, or I can also pull from one of those pre-saved email templates to help save time. Now, I'm an admin in the system, so I can also send as one of my sales reps or one of the other users in the system. So if you have document writers or proposal writers or subject matter experts that are compiling these documents on behalf of, a client-facing representative, that's fine. If they want to complete that, they can still send as the client-facing rep. So let's go ahead and I'll just send this document out as myself. At which point this document will go to sent status, and an email will have been sent to Bethany, prompting her to fill in those e-signature fields right there and that field right there. So all pretty straightforward. If I needed to edit this document at any point and add additional fields or resend, I can simply click edit, and it's going to ask me to rearrange the fields, or if I even want to upload a new source file, maybe for Microsoft Word or something to that effect. That's okay. I'll go ahead and click edit, and now I can make any changes I want before resending this document to Bethany. I will go ahead and add an e-signature field for myself, just so you can see what that's like. And now let's send again. And if you do have multiple signatories on one document, if you go to this recipients tab into the signing order, and if I turn that on, I can also determine who should be the first signer and who should be the second signer, if it should be in succession. Otherwise, if you turn this off, all parties will receive the document for signing at the same time. So I'll just go ahead and let's turn this on for now, and I'll make myself the first signer. Now let's resend. By the way, while you're editing a document, your recipients cannot view the initial document link. It will tell them if they click it that the document is currently being edited. And that's just to avoid them from any confusion or from them executing the wrong version. So now I have a field assigned to me, and I have the scroll bar that appeared that wants to take me directly to that field, where it's then going to prompt me to fill in my e-signatures. Most of your recipients will not be PandaDoc users. So for now, they will either draw, type, and select a font, or upload an image of their actual signature to execute this document. So again, all three of those options are legally binding in the US, Canada, and many other countries around the world. If you have a specific country preference or personal preference, however, you could disable any of those three options in the settings like I showed earlier. So that's really it. That's the first way to send a document, is simply go to New Document, click Upload, throw your PDF or your Word file in there, add some fields. That's it. That works well for some use cases when we just need to get the job done for e-signature alone. But where PandaDoc's really differentiated from the other e-signatures on the market is in making available a content repository where you can host all of your templates, any other content library items that your team might make use of, which should really expedite the rate with which they're able to create and generate these documents, as well as send them out. And then from a workflow perspective, we'll give them a few other advantages that we'll cover. So without further ado, let's jump down this sidebar into the PandaDoc Templates tab, because this is really the best way to send a document from PandaDoc. And this is our own internal repository of templates. We're biased, of course. We're pretty much using PandaDoc for everything, especially on the sales side. So we have lots of great content in here that we might send out, whether that's battle cards or one-pagers or presentations and proposals. Again, this should be your central repository of shared content. Now, let's jump into a proposal template, because there's some really cool things that you can do here with the PandaDoc template and the PandaDoc editor. So this document that you're about to look at was created in PandaDoc. So we have our own proprietary editor. It's a little bit different, I'm sure, than you've used to with Microsoft Word or PowerPoint and so forth. But the way it works is this is an online editor. You have these content blocks to the right, and you simply tell us the type of content you'd want to add, like a video. And it drops in a block, and you can add a video link and kind of build a document block by block. Now, any native content block in PandaDoc, it is editable, right? So for any document that is going to be negotiated, or I have to edit or customize before sending out, where it's just not a simple static document, highly recommend you guys get those as native templates into PandaDoc, because then I don't have to use Microsoft Word or another offline system for my source files. And again, the admins just have more control over this content, being that it's online in our system. So for example, in addition to locking in the styles, I could also restrict editing of any content block for any template. So in other words, admins can determine what portions of a template are editable by other users versus locked. And if you lock it down, that's exactly what the other user would see there. Just means you can't touch it. So hopefully that prevents content from being edited willy-nilly, so to speak, and where it then becomes out of compliance. In addition to the templates, which are really your starting places, right? So for any document type that's static or that has consistent content, highly recommend you have a template set up in advance for that. Again, this will just expedite your document generation moving forward. Now, for any modular content that might be used but isn't always included in a template, that you can store in the content library here on the right. And this is really great. It's for any modular content. So you notice here I had a testimonial, but maybe for this document, that's not the testimonial that I really want to use, in which case I can go over here into my content library. I can hover over the other testimonials that might be available, and I can simply drag and drop that in where I'd want it to go. So the content library is a really cool feature for hosting that modular content. Gives you guys quick access to that content, so you can just compile documents much, much quicker. The other last thing I'll show you about the templates is roles. So these are predefined roles for who would be the recipients on this document. So I can tell you that this template is always going to have initiator signer, which is our client, a PandaDoc signatory, and a CC recipient, someone on the PandaDoc implementation team. And if you look at how we have our signing order set up, the client has to sign first, then the PandaDoc CFO signs second, Then and only then is the implementation team receiving an email with a link to this completed document. And that they get that immediately so they know to follow up and start the implementation, really as soon as our contracts are inked. So pretty cool stuff you can do here from an automation and workflow standpoint. Let's see what else I can show you. Settings, if I go to the More tab. Workflow, if you want to have a manager or admin in the account approve a document before it's sent to the end recipient, you simply go to the approval workflow and you can turn that on. And you can have one approver, you can have two approvers, you can have three, and so forth, as many as you want. If that's the case, you can also turn the approval order on so that maybe Bethany has to approve this document first, and only once she does so, does it then go to me for final approval. You could also have an approval group where you have multiple approvers in a group, in which case it's the first responder. If is the case where today maybe you have some, rogue sales rep activity where they're sending proposals that you don't get to look at before they're sent and signed, and sometimes that is definitely an issue. So approval workflows, you can turn them on. But that's about it for the template. So once you guys have really beautiful templates set up, the system will really sing. And why is because now, let's go back to my dashboard and let's send a new document, but instead, let's use a template. So I'll go to this, same template, and now you'll notice it's asking me to fill in those roles. So instead of like adding recipients, dragging in fields, assigning the fields one by one to the intended recipients, now I can just fill in the roles much, much quicker. So let's add Bethany as my prospect. I'll add myself, and then we'll add Tara from my implementation team. And now let's go ahead and start editing. You could also add CC recipients here still, even if they don't need to fulfill a role. And now let's start editing. So now we're creating a copy of that template, but now, unlike the PDF upload, I can edit this document further before sending it out. So as a first step, we do have this feature, which I didn't cover yet, called tokens. So anywhere you see yellow in brackets, like for the account name, right? Like that might appear 6 times throughout the document. So instead of copying and pasting it 6 times, where I might actually miss one of those inputs, now I can simply type it in here on the right side of the document, and it'll input in all 6 places throughout that document. So a really cool feature there that'll help you save time, and again, avoid issues where maybe you are working from a previously sent Word document and forget to replace all those company names with the previous one. And sometimes that can be embarrassing. So that'll prevent that, and that's really the first step is you would go through and you would fill these in. These token inputs could also potentially fill in from a CRM. So I'll cover this quickly. I know we don't all use the CRM. We do have about 15 active CRM integrations, including this one that you're seeing with Salesforce. So if you do plug in a CRM integration, what's nice about those is any data typically that's in the CRM, we can create a token for, and then we can just grab that data automatically and plug it in. So you don't even have to type this data in. We'll just grab it and drop it in automatically to save even more time. So that's the tokens. If I scroll down this document now, I can make whatever other edits I need. Our table of contents, these are hyperlinks because this is a web document. So when you're reviewing this document, if you click Plan Overview, for example, it's just going to shoot you down the page to the Plan Overview. So this document is still a draft. I have not sent this document yet. So at this point, I would go through, maybe make whatever other edits I wanted. I could go to the library. I could drag and drop in a different testimonial, maybe a video, anything else I think would solidify my case on this proposal type document here. You'll notice I have a few fields that are assigned to myself for contract start, contract end date. This is the PandaDoc pricing table, which is a pretty cool feature. You have a few options here. If you do use the pricing table block, you could potentially add all of your product and service items into the PandaDoc catalog here, in which case, if you add from catalog, all of those items will display here, right? And you can simply drop in the one that you need. So a pretty quick way of building tables for pricing and for quotes and so forth, if you have those items set in advance in the PandaDoc catalog. We also, with some CRMs, including Salesforce, we can merge products. So if you assign a product to an opportunity stage and then launch a new document using the PandaDoc integration, we can port those products directly into this table automatically as well. Again, just to ensure compliance between CRM data, and what goes in the client-facing document here. A few other options in how you want these tables to look. From a design standpoint, you have a lot of options. From a functionality standpoint, you can even make this table interactive. So if you want to give your recipient the ability to add or remove items in total, or to change the quantity of the item that they're purchasing as a direct multiplier, you can give them that power if you so choose. We also have radio buttons, so if you want to give them 3 options and have them select one on this table, that's possible. We have all the currencies loaded up in here, so if you need to change the currency based on when you're sending this document to, totally fine. Taxes, discounts, lots of good stuff here, so you can kind of configure these tables, again, how you would want them to look. Moving on down, we have a signatory page. So for PandaDoc, we actually put together our contract and our proposal document all in one delivery. You could also separate those into multiple templates if you want. But yeah, for us, it's kind of a nice way to streamline everything into one living document. An overview of our implementation plan and so forth. So again, you guys get the idea. At this point, I can make whatever edits I want, or you might see some content like my SLA here that would probably be restricted if I wasn't an admin, in which case I would see this. Don't edit this, right? It's locked. So that's that. Now let's say I want to send this document. I can do so. Let's go ahead and let's send. At which point it's going to recommend that you still fill in those tokens in case you forgot any, like me, but I'll skip that for now. We'll go test. And it's the same process as before. The only difference is this document is editable within PandaDoc. So for use cases where you expect some back and forth, again, highly recommend you have a native template, because if I send this out and maybe I need to make another edit, now I can do so really quickly within PandaDoc, as opposed to having to go back to Microsoft Word, edit my source file, upload that back into PandaDoc, add new fields, and then resend. So again, it just depends on what you're looking to do here, but usually, almost always, really, really helpful to have native templates set up. When we started selling PandaDoc with our own proposals, they were about 20 pages long with all these great case studies and videos and a lot of great content that we assumed was helping. And then over time, we realized using our own tracking analytics that, yeah, they're really looking at mostly the content that you see now. So our proposal document went from about 20 pages to about 7 pages over the course of 6 months. And has a much higher conversion rate because of it. Hopefully we can help you iterate your content over time using the engagement analytics, of course, just to optimize its success, right? So that's that. I've sent 2 documents, one using an upload PDF where I added fields, another where I had a native template that was already built out, which is definitely the best practice. Now, lastly, I promise I'm almost done. I do want to just show you a quick workflow from CRM, because a lot of PandaDoc customers do integrate with the CRM. Again, the data merge is pretty helpful as far as saving time and avoiding any double entry of data. The data is already here in CRM. We'll simply grab it and drop it into your document automatically. So let's do that. I'm going to select new document. It's going to open up a new window for PandaDoc, but still within my CRM. And the first thing it's going to do is, again, bring me now to that new document page where I can either select a pre-existing template or I could upload a PDF and add fields. So same thing, whether you access PandaDoc direct or through a CRM at this point, you would see this page. And what's nice about this as well is any documents that you launch through the integration will forever be referenceable from within that same CRM record. PandaDoc offers unlimited storage for your documents, whereas typically CRMs do not. So this is a link back to the PandaDoc document, and we're hosting it. But this is really just a visual force page into our application. Right now, it's just a link back to the document, and you can always access those back through the record, but it's nice. It's keeping everything nice and tidy within your CRM, referenceable by all parties. And again, if at any point we need to get back into the document analytics to see what's going on, we simply click that document, and we open it back up. And now here I am back in PandaDoc. Mostly just wanted to give you a quick overview of a couple of ways in which you can use PandaDoc quickly. Without further ado, guys, I really appreciate your time today. Again, this is Josh Gillespie with PandaDoc, calling from our San Francisco headquarters. Any questions, feel free to reach out direct. I am josh@pandadoc.com. And yeah, we're looking forward to seeing you guys make use of the tool. All right, take care.